Hello, and welcome to the 64th episode of the Tango Banter. I am your host, Yelizaveta, cordially reminding you that the LA Tango Marathon is just weeks away, and I am very much hoping to see you. When you register, don't forget to use the code LAMeow23 to get a free t-shirt. And you can find all of that info and the links in the show notes below. Now, in today's episode, you will get to meet Lozita Onsy, an Egyptian auto engineer living and dancing in Germany, who has been a dedicated Tango Banter listener for some time now. Lozita reached out to me on social media when she was visiting here in LA, and like you, I was instantly curious about her. So we met up for an afternoon at my house to have a much anticipated in-person banter. In our conversation, we talk about the various facets of tango and how it plays a different role at different phases of our lives. Lozita also shared her story about how and why she got into tango, as well as how it felt to move to a different country and to have to integrate into a whole new community. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the warm company of Lozita Onsy. What made you get into tango?
I love the music. So I love the music overall and dancing as well. So I'm coming from Egypt, and in Egypt you have this kind of belly dance and this kind of music that's...
So you grew up seeing that?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. In the movies, in my family. So we just open music and going to dance together in the living room.
Now, I was curious about that having come from Egypt, what role does dancing play in Egypt? Because all I know is about Egypt is that it's pretty conservative in certain ways, but yes. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Like, did you have to wear the coverings that I see in a lot of the... No. Is it so? How does it work in Egypt? Is it like some people only who are more conservative and wear the coverings, and do you have a choice, or how does it work?
Yes, it depends on the belief. So more of a Muslim girls have this belief to wear this kind of covering hair. But I would say, so I am Christian or Catholic from a Catholic family, and we don't have this kind of stuff. And
interesting.
To be honest, the Catholic in Egypt, it's a more liberal society, I would say.
Really?
Yes. In comparison to Europe,
compared to Europe, really?
Yes.
Yeah, because I guess Catholicism has this place of, real, I don't know, like the Catholic guilt. You think about the Catholic guilt, and you think about the rigorous, almost oppressive sort of stories that I hear coming out of that. But you're saying in Egypt it's actually more modernized, or
this is what I learned when I moved to Europe, because Catholic in Egypt, we are really in Manor. So we are about 500,000.
You're a minority.
Yeah, minority and the church that I was brought up there, they have this kind of, I'm not sure what it's called in English, freedom theology. It's coming from Latin America more.
Freedom ideology.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Which coming from Latin America.
And what does it entail? Or what is it?
It's about more concentrated to the people who suffer, the poor people who suffer in the society. They are thinking more about what people need, not what the Pope say to the people.
What the Pope demands.
Yes.
And how do they feel? So in your family, so your whole family is Catholic. You grew up
Yes.
Catholic there. Is there a sense of freedom in terms of, like, can you drink alcohol? Can you openly dance with a person in public? So those parts are pretty...
About dancing in public, it's more constrained. There is
Okay,
more
okay.
constraints
So there's
about
some
this.
boundaries
Yes.
there.
Yes,
Or
because
like
it's
public
about
affection.
Yeah, it's
or...
about society.
Uh-huh.
But because my family is a little bit more open than others in Egypt, and they were going forward also to travel and to see another
Other cultures. So they were a little bit more open-minded.
Yes, and I started
Interesting.
also to travel alone since I was 19.
Wow.
Yes, and it's not common in Egypt as a female just alone.
Yeah, what is the more traditional, conventional story for a young woman in Egypt
I would
these
say
days?
staying in the country, of course, having to graduate because
So
it's more
college is
open,
sort of
yes.
understood that that's part of the
Yes.
growing up part.
And the same for everyone, or being for every woman in Egypt to get married and
To
have
get married and
family.
have kids.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much like the benchmarks that
Yes.
women are judged against. So you were sort of against the grain by choosing to leave the country and travel on your own.
It's come by coincidence. Actually, I am a person who like to discover. And for me, when I got the internship to go abroad, I feel like, wow, it's excited. I will see another culture. I will know another people. And it was like, wow, I would like to have this. And in 19 years old, I had this background. Yes, I have to married and have kids, but it's okay. So I can postpone this.
And
to
your
start.
parents weren't really pressuring you to
No,
get married.
No.
That's probably
Yes.
a really nice gift
Yes,
for you.
exactly.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother.
And does he also kind of like you travels and
Not really.
explores? No.
No, not really. So.
So that's interesting. So you grew up in a Catholic family that was a bit more relaxed and liberal.
Yes. Yeah.
A little bit more liberal.
Kind of. I have to
Kind
say
of.
it's kind of.
So there's
yeah.
still
in comparison to what's in Egypt, it's kind of liberal. Yes.
So they didn't mind you starting to dance tango. It wasn't a strange thing. Was there any kind of conflict or resistance on their part in you pursuing that?
Not at all, because at that time when I started to dance, I was living in Germany and make my master studies, and I was financial independent, and they were also in their way to immigrate from Egypt to US.
What year was that?
I went to Germany 2011.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
So you left in 2011 just because you got an internship.
Yes.
For what? Auto engineering? Or
Yes. It's
So it was your field from the start.
exactly.
You chose. Now, you don't strike me as an auto engineer, so I'm curious, what was the interest for you to go into this field?
Maybe it's more about, I would say it's two aspects. The aspect of our culture that engineer, doctor, and pharmaceutical studies is one of the best. And when people got chance to go this way, they will get a good career. And I was kind of child that would like to have a good marks. And for me, I had these choices, and I feel like engineering is more suitable to me because I love to do something with my hand. Another aspect, because my father had a hobby or have a hobby to maintain cars and stuff.
Oh, so your
yes.
father likes to work
Yes.
on cars.
Yes.
And any cars or specific models of
No,
cars?
it's any cars.
Any cars. So you kind of grew up
yeah.
watching him
Yes.
do stuff with cars.
Yes.
So interesting.
Yes,
Is your brother into cars?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Maybe also as a hobby more than me, but he go like in filmmaker because my father he's professional furniture designer, Mediterranean furniture, like this kind of Islamic stuff and this kind of small. Yes, it's amazing. I love this.
So he's like a craftsman.
Yes.
And he makes it by hand?
No, he designed this.
Designed it, and it is made based on his design.
Yeah, it's kind of engineer.
Interesting. So you sort of fell into that path because you already kind of saw what your father was doing. And when you say you felt that it was going to produce a good career, you mean that it was going to be financially available, you know, a lot of space available for you financially and stuff like that. Yeah. Such a smart decision as a young person. It's so rare to talk to someone who made that decision in such a level-headed way. Because for me, when I remember I was graduating from high school and then going into college, to me it was all about being an artist and having my expressive power. And I laughed at people who chose financial stability over artistic expression.
Yeah.
But it's been both a very humbling path in certain ways, but also a very insightful path, because ultimately, you know, I arrived back where you were at 19, where you sort of are like, okay, well, what's going to be the way that I support myself, and I'm going to have to choose that based on what is available to me and what are the best possibilities. And so I've sort of had to answer that question anyway, but more like as an adult now. So you started Tango at the time that you were already living in Frankfurt. And what is it like as a scene there compared to here? Do you feel it's very similar to United States or to Los Angeles, or are there particular things that you find that are different?
This is actually a good question. So when I didn't start in Frankfurt, but when I continued dancing in Frankfurt, it was a little bit hard to go into the community. There were really stable tango community there. So there were people that know each other and dance with each other. And I was also beginner because I was in Egypt. I returned to Egypt to my boyfriend to start tango and to have this process of being married and everything.
Where did you guys meet?
Before, actually, so we know each other since a long time.
So you were friends way back.
Yes.
And this is a connection that you continued for a while. And then eventually, at some point, you decided to both start Tango.
Yes.
How did that decision come into play?
It was my idea. Yes.
That is the answer to every question I ask. It was my idea. Of course.
Yes, so...
Let me rephrase the question. Since it was your idea, what made you decide to try Tango together?
To have more connection, to be honest, because before I went to Egypt, it was I started another dance, so disco fox and Latin dance and
I'm sorry, disco fox?
Yes.
What is disco fox?
It's only popular in Germany.
Really? I
Yeah.
have never heard of such a
It's
thing.
kind of bachata with swing, so it's easy dance. It's
Wow,
partner
I'm gonna have
dance.
to look
It's
it
easy
up.
dance.
It's called fox disco.
Disco
Fox.
Disco fox.
I
Yeah.
thought that it might be a combination of disco and foxtrot, which to me was like,
It's
wait
kind
a
of.
second.
It's kind of, yes.
Really?
It's kind of.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Something to look up.
Yeah.
Disco fox.
Yes.
Anyway, so you were aware of tango because you had heard the music, or did you by this point have a visual sort of knowledge of what tango was?
I heard the tango songs, but it's not tango argentino. It was so in Europe. It's like in Latin dance. Latin dance contains a lot of dances, like a valsar, Wiener valsar, then the classic dance, a tango.
So this is a
Swing.
category
Yes.
of
Yes.
dance called Latin.
Yes.
So if you were to look up in the city and you were to say Latin dance,
Yes.
you would find a studio or some organization that has all of these dances on their
Yes,
menu.
yes.
And they're all under the category
Yes.
of Latin dance.
And when you go to the courses, you have some of this, some of this, some of this. And
So you
some
can
of this.
sample
Yes.
the different ones. So you've done disco fox.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you done? Bachata?
Bachata, no.
No,
it
you
was
haven't
later.
done it. It was too easy for you.
It's no, it is not like
Salsa? Did you? Was there any
that. A little
salsa?
bit also, yes.
Okay.
I tried once in a while for any dance because dance it's my passion, so I love to dance.
So you were just kind of exploring it,
Exactly.
and tango was.
One of them.
Oh, let's just try tango. And so
it was one of them, yes. And when I returned to Egypt, he was a little bit aware of tango as well, about the stories and everything, and he was so fascinated about this. And he said, okay, so since we would like to do something together, let's go to start tango together. I wanted to dance on other stuff, but I was like stuck in tango.
right away because
Yes.
the music.
The music
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the art of the dance and the embrace. And when we broke up and I returned to Frankfurt, I say, okay, I will continue dancing tango.
And how long were you with him until you guys broke up? Like after you started tango, how long were you together?
Starting tango to breaking up, it was like 6 months.
6 months.
But we were together before,
How long were you together before?
about 1.5 years.
1.5 years. Did tango play a role in your breaking up?
I would say it shows some stuff that it's not.
Like it exposed certain things that weren't working? Or what do you mean?
It shows some stuff because I was really into the dance. I wanted to learn more, and he was a little bit slowing down. And I was a little bit pushy, like, no, we need to go all the milongas and all the.
Oh, so
all the
you were the
workshop
one
and
who
all
was.
the- It's like, oh, okay, no, can't.
You're the one who's like, I need to dance. I need my fix of tango
Yes.
5 nights a week. Let's go. And he just wants to stay at home, kind of thing.
He was like, would like to have a little bit slow down, but there was another stuff. I would not say tango was the reason. No, it wasn't. And there was another issues. So
Gotcha.
it's not about this only, but one of them, it was like I am really speeding up for this learning, and he was a little bit slowing down and would like to have everything like in slow motion.
I see. And you're like powering ahead. You want to
Yes.
go further.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at the time that you broke up, did the breakup sort of gradually come with your tango? Like, was it just sort of part of what you were going through as a person?
It
What
was
kind of
a
role
little
did
bit. It was a little bit
play?
hard to listen to tango and dancing tango without him. To be honest, I was feeling like yes. So I have this remember and this memory in me that I'm listening tango when he was with me, and I'm dancing tango when he was with me. And maybe this is the stuff that let me a little bit don't feel comfortable when I moved to Frankfurt. And yes, and I feel like okay, maybe let's be only in workshops and
Like not go to the
yes,
milonga.
yes. I went to milonga, but there were a lot of. I mean, the milonga was really big, and it was hard for me to get a dance. Even
Why? Why do you think? Just because you were a beginner, nobody knew you?
yes, it's one of these reasons. I had also a great expectation, I would say. I had this expectation because in Egypt it was different. So we used to go to Milonga the first time when we start. But in Frankfurt it was not like this. So in Frankfurt I know people till now they dance for 7 years and they don't have the courage to go to milongas.
Wow.
Yes.
So the standard is really high there? Or is it just culturally they're not?
To be honest, I'm not sure why. Because
Interesting.
for me, these people who are not going to milonga, they're really good dancers.
They just are not confident that they're ready to do it for real at the milonga. Interesting.
And maybe it's also like this. It's kind of social dance, and in social dance, the more people who get danced, especially women, is the good-looking women and the good dancers. And when the women don't have this two aspect, it's more than not to dance, I would say.
So they're not going to get the dances because they're either not good looking or not good dancers, is what you're saying? Yeah, which I mean is pretty common. Did you feel that at any point that you didn't have some of those attributes that they were looking for, or was it just a gradual sort of getting to know people and starting to dance? Did you struggle?
So at this time, to be honest, at this time it was a combined or a mix of everything. So a mix of my emotional problems and emotional situation that I am just coming from a breakup. I just want to explore how's it going on in Frankfurt. I was in a first in a new job, and I had to work on this to have a stable job. And in another way, I didn't feel right away so comfortable to be in the society. Yes.
Did you know German by this point
Yes.
already?
Yes.
So you could speak with people and interact, but you were new to the city.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that must have been hard. I'm curious, you work as an auto engineer, so you have like a 9-to-5 job, that you're doing. So your spare time is dedicated to tango. And what is it that you want from tango, or what do you want to achieve as a tango dancer?
This is a really good question, because as I feel for myself in every stage of my life since I start tango play a different role. So in the first, I was entering this because I love dancing and I fell in love in the music. And then after the breakup, it was for me like a way to move on and to be in another community and to have something that I love beside my job. And then when I start to to dance really regularly, about 4 or 5 times a day, so a week. It was for me like an addiction. And I start also to organize and make a DJ and blah blah blah, and also to lead. I feel it's way that I explore life. So for example, about the Mirada and Capaceo, this is one of the concepts that in Milonga, I mean in Tango, that give me personally a courage to speak up or to show also in my career, to look to the eyes of the person and speak about this. Sometimes I was like, no, I will not confident to speak up when I am looking at the eye of another stuff, or to approach people. So this is kind of stuff that I learned in Tango, or I enhance it in a Tango society.
So you're saying Tango helped you build confidence,
Yes,
that you applied in your job and in the
Yes.
rest of your life.
Yes. And also living in Germany alone without my family, it was a little bit hard. And Tango was kind of stuff that I have in my society, my family, my...
So it replaced that community that you were missing.
Yes.
Wow.
And afterward, when I got used into Tango and traveling and DJing and everything, I feel like I'm in a comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you sort of know your way around. You feel
Yes.
comfortable. You can lead. You can follow. You can DJ. You can
Yes.
organize. What else is there? Performing? I don't know.
And I'm not sure if I will get to this. Let's see what life will bring. And attending Tango in LA for me was kind of another experience, because Tango for me is my comfort zone, and to see my family in LA after a long time without seeing them, it was a kind of uncomfortable experience for me. And
Just because you hadn't seen him in a long time, or
I am independent for a long time and have not seen them for a long time. There's some dynamics as well. And
as
to
with
have
any family, of course.
Yes. Yes. And to have a time for myself without the family, and going to dance Tango and knowing new people, and to get connection with you. When I knew you in the podcast, I feel like you're an authentic person. You speak about some stuff that nobody dare to speak in Tango. And I feel like this is really a comfort place where I can go when I just want to disconnect to my family and connect to myself and something that I love. And I would say Tango helping me in my life. It's not the maybe it's not anymore the main stuff or the main issue for my life, but it helped me from time to time, or in my stage, to go out of my comfort zone, or to have a comfort zone that I can run when I have any.
So it's both sort of a tool to push your boundaries beyond your comfort, but yet it also is a place of comfort because it's familiar and you know your way around it.
Yes.
So I think that's a really interesting point about Tango, because one common thread that I keep coming back to whenever I'm deliberating about conflicting points of view between people is to ask the question of where is your starting point? How are you actually defining Tango? Because if you're going to define it as an art form that's supposed to be danced and practiced as a particular way, and there's such an idea as purity and correctness and appropriateness, then that's the lens through which you're going to assess everything. And the restrictions or the definitions you're going to apply to people around you, to teachers, to classes, to performances, right? But there's this whole other definition of tango, which is what you're pointing to, in my mind, that is much more about function, about like helping you to be a functional human being. You know? Like a place where you have a home away from home, a community away from your immediate family and community of friends you might have grown up with, a place that you can find camaraderie if you go to a different country and you need companionship and you don't know, like you could get on an app, sure, or you can just go to a milonga and meet new people right away. And the other part of it is this really useful tool nature of it, that it's a tool for overcoming your own limitations, right? And pushing yourself a little further.
Yes.
So as you're saying, it's like, yes, you're comfortable in terms of your tango presence in the milonga, but now you can actually do that somewhere where you're not familiar with people, and you can practice your capaceo and saying what you want, which I thought that was a really important point you were making, that just the capaceo, the ability to look at someone, right, is already so confrontational. It's so difficult for people, you know. And in terms of my podcast, even facilitating this connection, I think is such an awesome extension of what this project has been about, because I think the seed of it was born during the pandemic when I was doing Earth Virtual Milonga, my online Milonga. And at that time, I already could sense that there was something that I was experiencing, a level of intimacy that I was experiencing with people who were very far away. And somehow the distance between us felt like that wasn't really there. I felt very close to people, even though there was no physical touch. That it wasn't that I was making it up, that there was a real connection, a real intimacy, because of the receptivity and the sort of camaraderie that we were all experiencing, because we were all in it together. Everybody was suffering together. And once I started the podcast, I had that feeling in my mind that if I can say that my intimacy that I experienced with people through Zoom was already a form of tango, it was a form of connection, there was that intimacy, it was real, then what if I go out on a limb and imagine myself creating that with people that will just listen to me? And maybe it starts out as a one-way conversation, but it's sort of like my podcast is the capaceo in a way. It's like I'm reaching out there and imagining some sort of a conversation that I'm having. And then now we're actually having a conversation. So it's like that conversation is now a real exchange. And I think possibly this is my favorite part about tango. You know, the tango ultimately in my life has actually brought me to people and brought people to me that otherwise I would never have met, you know?
Absolutely.
Right?
For me as well. Yes,
it's pretty
absolutely.
magical. It's pretty magical. So I'm very grateful that you gave me so much of your time, because
I have to thank you, because there was a lot of aha effects from your podcast that that's what I know or what I think about, but I don't know how I deal with it. And I have to thank you about this effort that you did for all the Tango Society. This is such an, as I said, it's authentic and real stuff and real topic that you're speaking about. And please continue. This is so important.
Thank you.